Hey everyone, today I'm going to kind of go through what was talked about in the stream, just a cliff notes, and then my thoughts on some of them, especially the ban list. People are surprisingly quite mad for some reason, or disappointed, so we'll take a quick look at that. And yeah, apologies for the voice and just lack of uploads. I've been sick and busy, so that's just how it is. So first off, I'm going to kind of go through, just the news, and then I'll go into the ban list stuff. So first, Divine's 2 is coming out. If you don't know what that is, it's the anime. The 2 is coming out, and it's going to be focused on new characters. This one's Akina, he's the old one. But we have new fated, or destined ones is what they call it now. So this one is Kuon. He is commanding the destined one of Infinity, Levidras. So this is Levidras. It's a kind of weird bug dragon. Right, looks pretty cool. And then the next one is Yuna Saionji. She's commanding the destined one of Supremacy, Lee Shafel, and she is apparently a big fan of Mikoto. So you'll see that all of these characters have some relation to another character that is the fated one side. So you'll see. The next one here is Kyoma Kurosaki. He is the vice CEO of the Kyokura Group, which is related to Taizo. I think they're friends. And he owns the destined one of Scales, Ale Quilbra. And this is like Dragon Empire. Yeah, pretty cool. I like the next one, okay? This one is Senka Kanae. She is a pro card fighter, so is also Nal's childhood friend, and she owns the destined one of Exceedance in Poldio. So Exceedance is kind of a weird one, Exceedance. And then Jinky is back. So Jinky Makai, he owns the destined one of Protection Alden. So he's going back to one of his older cards. And it looks like Alden finally gets gets a grade 3 that's good now. And maybe all that old support is finally going to be worth something. And then we got Hikari. So this one was a surprise to all of them. This is Akina's younger sister, if you don't know. And she is owning the destined one of Time, Liel Odium. So a different form of Liel. This time she is a bit darker, but looks very, very cool. So will be interesting to see how this turns out. And then you have the new kind of weird, I think this is a Kirin is what people are saying. So this is Sibylt, voiced by Kugamiya Rie. If you don't know, that is from Taiga Asaka, from Taiga from Toradora, yeah. And then also Luis from, she does a lot. Luis from Zero no Tsukaima, familiar of Zero, I think it's in English. I think she's V as well in GBF. She voices a bunch of these Kugurumi characters, these kind of characters. So, like I think she's in like Fairy Tail as well, right? So yeah, she does a lot of these characters, and a really famous voice actor. So yeah, pretty crazy. And then they did show kind of like the splash art for this. I think a lot of people have said it. They're not really a huge fan of the this destined one, even though she apparently a lot of people like. Right, she's an otaku, so a big nerd. But yeah, no, I personally my favorites is actually the bracket one, and actually the bug one's pretty unique, alright, in the design. So those two are my favorites. Even though Stoichea is not my favorite. But yeah, those two, especially the brag one. This one looks wild. Alright, this looks actual wild. And then after that, they did announce the new set will be coming. This is October. By the way, yeah, so this is coming out in set 4. So no Leo, unfortunately. That's gonna be like, hey, I don't have to say it. That's pretty much everyone's favorite, right? I don't think we need to point that out. But yeah, that one is coming out in set 5. So probably one of the climax sets, and pretty similar to like our set 2. Like surprise, here's a bunch of crazy surprise evil card or whatever. So yeah, pretty cool. And then they also announced Coral is coming back in the next lyrical set. So this is I think this is probably one of the more favorite Bermuda characters in the West, right? I know the West doesn't really like Bermuda that much. But there is always the exception, and that is Coral. So I think they know. Coral and Ange. Coral and Ange are the two that the West likes, I think. So yeah, Coral coming back is actually pretty huge. But we're also getting reprints as well. So Valshaban's getting a reprint. Also, Prism is coming back. So the Vert, Prism I, right? Rosa and Clear. If you played V, this is the main Prisms that you played with. I don't know how they're gonna interact with the old Prism cards. Sometimes, like, they just don't. That's just how it is. But I think it'd be kind of weird if they don't, because. But then I feel like it might be really strong if they do, right? So I don't know. We'll have to see. And then there is this weird collab that is coming out in set 5. They're collabing with Love and Berry. Is it Love and Berry? This is like an old. I heard it's an old Sega product. I don't know. I'm personally, I'm like not a fan. I thought Musha King, like, you know, when they did Musha King, it was surprise, like lol, surprise. This is really funny joke kind of thing. Love and Berry just seems a bit weird, you know. This one's like, it doesn't, like, Musha King didn't fit, but it was like the first one of its kind, so you're like, yeah, okay. But this one's just kind of hyper weird. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, but they always want to do collabs, so here it is. And then they have some of the Shadowverse stuff as well. So the Shadowverse Vanguard collab that's happening in Shadowverse. Honestly, some of these cards look really, really cool. Look, I'm like the high rarity versions of basically everything here, except Tsukuyomi. I don't know. I was never a big fan of how Tsukuyomi looks. It's probably the art style, but she looks hot. These guys look cool, and this guy went to the gym. Like, look at this thing, dude. This guy's like working out. And then they also they have some learn to play sessions, but they also have prizes for these. But there's also product, right? There's also product. So there's sleeves. So you get these sleeves. I think these are pretty cool as well. So you get the unit and the character. I think we've seen the character ones, maybe not the unit one. And then finally, I guess. This is like kind of the timeline on how things are coming out. So July, that's actually very soon. In 2 weeks, we're getting the lyrical set. Then in August 9, we're getting the set 4. And then in September, we're getting the Stride deck sets, the Harry, the Night Rose. And then we're going to finish in October with set 5. Also, we're getting more reprints, by the way. It's just Valshaban and Aura. Aura, like, shot up in price a lot, so it's good to see these getting reprinted. We don't need the Overtrigger reprint, but that's what they're doing. But the Draw Trigger reprint is actually really, really crazy. Really good, really good. Now, let's kind of talk about the ban list. So, if you saw the Japanese side, nothing got hit, and I think some people have been pretty disappointed, I have to say, because they were going, hey, Shiranui is busted. Okay, why didn't Shiranui get hit again? Well, let's put it simply. Like, well, we expected nothing in V and Premium, to be fair, because this is a Japanese-only ban list. But let's look at what's been going on in the Japan scene and go from there. So I think this is pretty much the main reason why people have been going, you know, Shiranui needs to get hit, right? Top 16 teams, 10 teams taking Shiranui, right? That means Shiranui has to be bloody good, yeah? And then, but that's only in Block A. In Block B, you know, Shiranui still was a lot, but only 7. So you're like, yeah, okay, they had the most amount of tops, so we have to hit them. Now, if you look at Kyushu, right? Kyushu here, you see Shiranui's down in the 3s. And that's Block B though, right? We have Block A. And then in Block A, I think it was pretty good. So in Block A, we have 7 Shiranuis. This is a different format. Nagoya had set 3, while in Kyushu, this is for Daivangasai, we only had the Festival Collection. Now, you could argue and say that with Festival Collection, this is where the power cards of this deck really started bringing this deck back up again, as well as people finding out like more techs and all that. So Festival Collection is basically where it starts. So from Daivangasai Tokyo and onwards, every major tournament after that, that was where Shiranui should be rising. You have to understand, like, decks take time to be developed. I think if you look at some of the articles that came out in Japan, Shiranui started being shown just before Nagoya, and that's where you have a big top, because you're going to have people who then copy it and all that and go, hey, this is the correct build, right? We're building it this way. If we go backwards, let's take a look. So we got Kyushu, Kyoto. So Kyoto Shiranui also had 6 in the tops, and then I think that was it. They only had 1 block yet. 6 in the tops out of top 16. Welstra taking a dominant position though, which is quite surprising. 7. And then let's look at the Daivangasai as well. So what happened to Daivangasai? This is the first time when Festival Collection was able to be used. Shiranui in Block B, only 5. And then what happened to Block A? So they had like 5 in Block A as well. So you can say, yeah, Shiranui had a lot of like placed well, I guess. If you say like top 5 of most of the decks used in top cuts, then that is correct. So what I can say though is that when Bushiroad looks at how well a deck performed before, they don't just look at who made top 16, they look at everyone who went X2 and better at the end of at the end of the preliminary rounds, because they run double elim, right? So one, they pay like attention to conversion rates. So if every team took like a Shiranui, for example, and only like a certain amount topped, and the conversion rate would be bad. And I think if you look at the document they submitted recently, that's what they said about a lot of these decks. Vaga, Luwad, Shiranui, they have a lot of usage rates, but they don't really convert very well. And then the main thing they said though was that there was certain orders, which is the one that the hostage orders that they released in the Festival Collection sets. The Keta one and the Stoicheia one specifically, they're keeping an eye on them because they're the ones that seem to be able to be abused, right? With the Stoicheia one with Zorga, because you can do like call it out with Shadow Cloak and all that stuff, bounce back to hands, or then just call things out and then blind it. So there's a lot of these small interactions. So with those orders, I feel like they kind of messed up. They might have messed up, but in terms of the rest of the field, in their opinion, it's just a lot of people using the deck and converting accordingly. Now here's my opinion on things like conversion rates and what makes top cut and all that. I think you would have heard this from me before. I think making decisions based purely on conversion is wrong, right? You still need to, it's like a tool to help you make decisions, but you still need to have a brain and go, is this deck broken or not? Is it healthy for it to be in the game? I personally think, in my opinion, it's too early to make a call, right? It's too early to make a call. New set came out, a lot of things can change. I think people are just sick of Shiranui at the same time. They keep on seeing the deck and go, this is so boring to play against, so annoying to play against. I don't want to play against it anymore. Can we just make it gone? So there's that to factor in as well. The other thing I also want to say is that diversity cut is just bullshit. Like that's just how it is. Now I did say that a lot of these decisions are based on decks that made an X2 cut, not just based on, top 16 with diversity cut. The thing is, diversity cut does a lot of things. It makes your pie graphs look weird, but it also influences what people take to tournaments. If I was to take a team tournament, go to a team tournament, if there was no diversity cut, I'd take 3 of the best decks. But because there is diversity cut, I have to think, do I take only 1 of the best deck, and then take 2 decks that people are less likely to use, or run 2 deck of the bests, and then 1 diversity deck and things like that. So because there is a diversity cut already there, it already skews results without even having to, it skews results before the tournament has even happened, which is honestly just a bad crutch in my opinion. If you want a competitive scene, you can't have something like a diversity cut. You just have to make a balanced game, right? And I feel like when you look at something like Nagoya, so this result, you might not understand it, but when you saw like the diversity breakdowns, you had like everyone bring a Shiranui, but because everyone is trying to go for diversity, all the Shiranuis make it anyway, because everyone just brings Shiranui, which they think is the best, plus a bunch of diverse decks. But then you'll have like situations where people, like it happened with me before, when I was playing singles in Japan, I brought a Shiranui, but for some reason, all the Shiranuis randomly went X1 that day, so then all the Shiranuis made it into top cuts, right? So it's just really, really random and weird, and it's just not a good representation of a competitive side. And yeah, I'm gonna get the comments that say Vanguard's not a competitive game, and you should just, it's meant to be a casual game, no one can take it seriously. Yeah, we've been talking about this for so long now. It's obviously, there's the same people who top, the same people who do very, very well in the game, so there's obviously a competitive scene there. It's just that, how do you want to make your tournaments, which are supposed to be competitive, legitimately competitive, right? And how much of it do you want to be a bit of a Papiga fest? That's pretty much it. That's just my thoughts on the ban list. So in my opinion, here's the TLDR. They didn't really ban anything. New set came out. I think the meta has opportunities for it to change. That said, you're gonna have fake data anyway. Japan bans a lot based on that data, which I think is just totally wrong. And luckily for us, we have our English ban list that should be happening soon. If it doesn't, I'd be very surprised, which will probably hit Shiranui to the same, Shiranui and Luad to the same situation as it was in Japan. And our nightmare can finally at least go down a peg. Right, because our tournament scene right now is pretty ass, with everyone bringing two of the best decks, which is just Shiranui and Luad. Anyway, that is it for now. I think my voice is dying. I'll see you all later. Alright.